Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of NRL Supercoach Off the Bench. I'm your host, Ross, coach of the Benchwarmers. Tonight we're joined by Guy, Timmy, and Brad. Brad, how are you? I guess first of all, we'll go through your scores and I want to your input on Magic Round. How did you enjoy it?
Oh man, Magic Round's great as always. If anybody hasn't done it, you should do it. It's friggin' awesome. Um, and although people yell out for it to be in Sydney, I'm not really sure about that. It's so good, just the one ground, and Suncorp just stands up every single year. Everyone goes to either Caxton or Normandy, all those pubs around there. It's just a blast. So it's really good to catch up with other podcasters, other people that are there, people coming up to us asking us how our team were going. And so all those people who did catch up with us and say good day, many thanks to all of you. We still haven't found out where Ado's gone, but anyway, yeah, it's a mystery. Good on you, Ado. Hope you're enjoying it. It was good, really good, and it's different to watch the games live too on TV. So different, but yeah, no, it went well.
Yeah, and how'd you score this week?
I've got 1,210, I think somewhere close to that. Definitely over 1,200. There's some failures and as usual, and I captained Hines I think we all did, didn't we? But yeah, so I struggled from that point on, but 1,200 I suppose is not too much of a struggle. Yeah.
Did it push? Did
Sorry,
it push? Did it push you up in ranks?
Yeah. Just only slowly though. Just yeah. Only it kept me going at a very slow rate. I'm just crawling forward.
And Timmy, welcome, Timmy. It was good to catch up with you at Magic Round and finally meet up at last. How'd you find it all, and how did your round go?
Yeah, look, boys, Magic Round was awesome from what I saw of it. And the best part of look at the three of us. We've never met in person. We've been playing this game for how many years? We've been talking through, all the various different Facebook groups and websites and everything else for Supercoach for the last 4, 5, 6 years or whatever. And then finally actually meet each other in person. And it's like we've been best mates for 20 years, it feels like. And then you actually catch up and you meet each other and you go, holy shit, this is just amazing. And I've got no doubt that we weren't the only ones there in the stadium that were in exactly the same situation. I think it's that kind of event that just brings everyone together. And I think for me personally, that's the magic part of it. I'm a Broncos member, have been for 13 seasons. So we go to the footy pretty much week in, week out. So the live aspect of the game, I'm really lucky being a Broncos member too. 50,000 fans, we get that 3 or 4 times a year, or 40,000 plus is a fairly regular enough number. So as far as the atmosphere and everything goes, that wasn't anything that I didn't sort of expect. It was more so just the togetherness and seeing everybody there, and the whole carnival aspect of it was just amazing. I loved every minute of it. It was great to catch up with you boys. As far as the Supercoach thing goes, I think that's about the worst round I've had in history as far as strategy going the way that it did. I sold Cleary to Moses. That cost me 100 points. I sold Reece Walsh to Gutho, and that cost me another 40-odd points or whatever. So I finished on an 11.21. If I made no trades, I would have been substantially better off. Look, my logic was plain and simple, played the BEs, and I wanted to get my round 13 team sorted sooner rather than later. The plan was then to sell all the trash that I wasn't going to be playing in round 13 when all these cheapy second rowers and wingers and things like that pop up. So my logic was to try and have 13, 14, maybe 15 really good players for round 13 and trim the trash. But yeah, it just didn't quite go to plan. The trades, if everyone made their BE, if Gutho and Moses made their BEs, I basically factored in each player. If they scored 75 points each, I was going to come out about 300K in front. So the logic was there. The strategy was there. Unfortunately, Moses got knocked out cold, was playing pretty shit anyway. But yeah, I really didn't think Reece Walsh would play as well. I mean, he's good, but I didn't think he'd score as well as he did.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? It really is, honestly. But anyway, all right. Guy, how was your round?
Yeah, it wasn't as magical as yours or you boys being up there for Magic Round. Yeah, it looked like a great festival spirit. Would have loved to mainly be there at the Caxton, sinking a few with you boys and having a chat. In terms of Supercoach, wasn't too bad. I think just the usual story for me, and probably about par or just under this week. I was 1146, dropped me 1,600 spots. I'm now at about 6,395. Yeah, I had Hines like you boys as captain, didn't work out. Saved by a couple, D Fee and D Brown on the Sunday. But yeah, there's just not many. A few people just underperform, like the likes of Haas. Even you touched on Taruva, Val, just a few expecting a bit more from. And they haven't delivered yet. Even Tedesco, I mean, I bought him in a couple of weeks ago and he's still, I think we've been waiting for that game. Hasn't delivered yet. But all in all, I'm quite happy planning and leading into the buys and catch up some ground.
I think that was going to be the game that Teddy was going to go well, but then as soon as that rain hit beforehand, I don't think it helped. Obviously more of a flat track bully sort of thing, and pretty disappointing. But yeah, look, guys, Magic Round was all what I expected. Obviously some of the games were a bit disappointing, but ticket off the bucket list to go to Suncorp was on my bucket list. Not only to go one game there, I went to 8. So it was good to catch up with some other guys, Brad and Timmy as well. Dan Hands, I don't know if he watches or not. It was good to run into him and Ado as well. And the Guru was there from Bloke on the Bar, and then watching these blokes getting behind you and Fletch inside that little tube when they kept lobbing sausages and beers and all sorts of shit in there on them. It was just doing shoeies and all sorts of stuff. Look, that's the stuff that you go there for. It's not just for the footy. It's what happens before and after the games. And yeah, it was everything and more than I expected. I can't wait to go back next year. Put the tickets for sale now. Leave it at Brisbane, like Brad said. I just think you got all those pubs there. You've got the atmosphere there. You move it to another state and you don't have that there. You go to Sydney, you're not going to have that. You're not going to have that atmosphere. I mean, I think maybe the only year they need to take it away is what 2032, Tim, when they get the Olympics. They might have to move it away that year, but I'm sure they can work around it. Maybe I don't know.
But let's be real though. Like, there's often enough. It's 2 or 3 times a year where they have back-to-back games at one of the stadiums in Sydney, and you still only get 20,000 people turn up.
I know.
You've only got to look at a Friday, Saturday night crowd there pulling 8,000 people or whatever. Like, let's get fucking real. If people wanted to go watch football in Sydney, they'd be getting 60,000 people packing out Sydney stadiums. Don't get it.
I think if they had a like Allianz, even then, like even if it holds like 45, I don't think you're selling out for 3 days.
No.
It'd be shit, Roscoe. You don't have all the party atmosphere. You don't have the pubs.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
The casino is 10 minutes walk up the road. You know, you don't have all that stuff. You know,
what do you got? You have an Allianz, and you've got like 2 pubs across the road, and they're I don't know. I'm not.
It's short walk to Paddington.
But still, hats off to the Broncos. Hats off. Just take one more thing. Hats off to the Broncos and the Finn supporters. Finn's up, by the way. You know, well done. They were just out in force, as expected, but just generally unbelievable. Like, yeah. Anyway, look. Anything else you want to add, Brad, before we go?
Fins up.
Fins up.
The other thing that I thought was really cool, and I did mention to you guys, look, Steppy and the boys with Bloke in a Bar, like their merch was everywhere, and it was a really good, like it was really good promotion for them, and it just looked fantastic. There was just people everywhere. I hadn't seen it before. Like, I'd seen a couple of shirts online and things like that, But while I was literally running to the Caxton to catch up with you boys on the Saturday, and I passed a couple of blokes in bloke shirts, I went, oh wow, I wonder if that's the guys that do the podcast. And then the closer I got, I just went, I don't think there's 300 people that do the podcast. Like, they were just everywhere. It was fantastic. And they had different shirts. They weren't all the same. Like, they've done really, really well. So it's good to see somebody that does our stuff. Obviously, Kempy's a little bit different because he's already got a bit of a name for himself with footy and everything else. But it was just good to see other podcasters that are doing really well out of it.
Yeah, and even there was a few chicks walking around with them on as well. And pretty sure that you were right, Timmy, when we saw that bloke in the bar shirt. I'm pretty sure that was Sam. So I watched his pod last night with Timmy Moody, and I'm pretty sure it was him. So we have to be a bit more. Maybe we need to get a selfie pod photo next year. But yeah, guys, look, if anyone's keen to jump on board next year, let us know. We'll probably have a group of us going again. I'm looking to organise some shirts as well, some Blueback shirts with our logo on it that we can advertise. Obviously, not on us, but again, thank you to our sponsors, Blueback. Obviously, advertise for them as well. Yeah, so I can't wait. I can't wait. Like I said, I'm just keeping it in Brisbane, plain and simple. Don't move it anywhere else.
The weather was perfect. Bar the storm on the Sunday afternoon, the weather was absolutely perfect. And I think that's part of it too. I think people from down south are happy to come up for a nice warm day footy, and even the night time wasn't that cold. Whereas I think if you have it in Sydney or Melbourne in the middle of winter, it's fucking freezing.
I'll tell you
People
what's
aren't going to want to go.
I'll tell you what will happen if they have it in Sydney. It'll fucking rain every day. That's what will happen.
No, keep it here.
Anyway, all right, moving on. Obviously my score before I forget, I got a 13.08, which I'm pretty happy with. And that was after wasting my VC on Garrick on Friday night or whatever night it was. I was always going to VC Hines into Fafita, but I'm still not going to complain. Traded in Talakai, worked out beautifully. Sitting in 13-15 overall now. But as we'll talk about later on, I'm pretty much up shit creek for this weekend. So I have to. I've got some decisions to make. All right, moving on. We'll go to the first game for the weekend. First game is Melbourne versus Timmy, your Broncos. Might as well go to you on this one. How do you see this one panning out? Melbourne are surprisingly a favourites. It is at home, but they've been underwhelming the last couple of games.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm not surprised the Storm are favourites. They are who they are. I don't think the Broncos have ever beaten the Storm in Melbourne. If they have, it would only be once or twice ever. It's just an absolute fortress for them against us. We don't seem to travel to Melbourne too well at all. So, yeah, look, as good as the Broncos have been going and as poor as the Storm have been going, this might be the first ever time where I do actually tip the Broncos over the Storm. But yeah, look, I don't know. It's I think at the moment our forward pack is probably even better than theirs, and for the first time in a long time, I think our backline's probably better than theirs. So look, it should be a really good game. Nothing will surprise me in this game, I don't think.
I think I just read somewhere that Melbourne haven't lost a Thursday night game in like 13 games or something like that, or maybe longer. So,
the stats are absolutely against the Broncos for this game.
Stats are there.
I think that's how we like it at the moment.
Stats are there to be broken, I say.
Absolutely.
So obviously neither of these teams play round 13. Brad, anyone to trade in or out from any of these two teams?
The only thing I'll mention on it is Warbrick is a 64 BE. That means he's hit his ceiling. He's not going to make no more money. So if you got Warbrick still, get rid of him. It's about time he went. He made a nice little bit of cash. So yeah, that's it for me.
Yep, fine.
I agree. Same Warbricks as sell. The one that's I think a lot of people are weighing up is Payne Haas from the Bronx. I've got him. I'll probably hold him right until 13, but I wouldn't sell yet.
Yeah, well, next week
Broncos do play round 13 too, Roscoe. Broncos do actually play round 13. We've got the Warriors in 13.
Yeah, Haas won't. Yeah.
But mate, I think next week on the pod on Sunday we might actually start looking at Origin holds and sells potentially. Might look at something like that as well. And obviously we need to start looking at those major buy rounds, not just 13, but also 14 and 16 as well. All right, Bulldogs, Warriors. Second is the first Friday night game. Brad, what's your thoughts on this one? Bulldogs get Ado Carr back. Other than that, Ford's obviously out with concussion for the Warriors.
It's a fairly interesting game. This one actually, it's I honestly, there's some interesting things going on. I know Ford is a very highly sold player this week. I don't have the stats right in front of me now. You might have them more than me, but
over 5,000 traded out this week.
Which I'm not really sure about the wisdom of that, and there's been a bit of talk online about this in various groups, but he still will get good minutes. The problem is you've got Curran sitting there, and you've got Barnett about to come back as well. So those minutes are going to hurt somebody. The coach has said, however, that Ford is still going to get 80 minutes on an edge. He's actually come out and said that. So, that makes you really consider whether selling Ford is a smart move or not. Beyond that, I did mention Curran has been knocking on the door, though, very hard. 1.1 ppm last weekend. He's been over 1 for the last 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and his minutes are increasing with every week. Injury-affected minutes this week because, somebody went off, so he got more minutes. But I think it's about 457K for Curran. He could be one that would be very interesting downgrade if somebody was going to think about that, and somebody that's going to get some pretty good minutes over the next few weeks.
How do you see the Warriors panning out their lineup when Barnett gets back? Do you see him playing in the front row?
Yes, I do. I really do. But I don't know whether he's going to play in the front row from the bench at first. So it's middle minutes that are going to be really affected. And, when Curran comes on, he plays a lot of middle, then shifts out to an edge at times when needed. It's a very when they're all back, it's a confusing. It's very confusing as to know who's going to get the most minutes. One thing I do know is AFB. I think in the last 3 weeks has averaged about 71 minutes for the last 3 weeks. That ain't going to continue because before that, he was averaging around about 45 to 50 minutes. So he's had this massive increase in minutes, but there's been other reasons for that. He's gone back from lock now, back up the front row. When Barnett's back, you'd think that AFB will go back to around about a 50-minute front rower. So that's where the majority of minutes are going to be drawn from. Yeah.
And he's had scores inflated the last 2 weeks with a try as well, and a line break and a few other attacking stats in that as well. But like you said, I think when Barnett comes back, it's going to probably take him with his minutes a little bit.
Well, yeah, you'd think that there's about 20 extra minutes there that the others are going to absorb. Yeah, I don't see. There's no way AFB is going to continue averaging 71 minutes. No way.
Yeah. Well, the next game is the Friday night big clash. Yep.
From that game, one that I was looking at was Tohu. He's only 580. The only issue is, like with AFB and all Warriors, is they have the bye next week. So if you're going to buy a Warrior, I think you have to wait until after next week. Just look a bit ahead.
What's
and the other
BE, right?
Sorry?
What's Tohu's BE?
I'll bring it up. But he's got the dual, which is handy. His BE is 47.
He could wait a week. He won't go up too much then.
Yeah, so definitely wait a week. But the other one I wanted to mention from the Dogs, I know they don't play 13, but they do play 16 and 19. So if your numbers are okay for 13, looking a bit ahead was Kiraz. He's dropping nicely in price. I know we all had him towards start when he was looking really good, but yeah, if he goes down sub 500k, he'll definitely be popular come round 14.
Right, while you're there, Guy, we might as well go to you. The next one being the Penrith Boys, Penrith versus the Roosters. I'm pretty sure none of these two teams play round 13. Am I correct on this one this time?
Correct.
Okay, so how do you see this one panning out? I think there's probably Taruva, if you've got him, I think he's probably a move on now. I'm seeing a lot of people trading Billy Smith, which to me is yuck. Yeah, don't do it. What's your thoughts, Guy?
In terms of the game, I do think for the way Roosters played last week, I think Penrith at home could be too strong. I mean, I don't know whether Roosters are really disappointing or if the Cows were really good last week. I couldn't quite work it out. But I do think Penrith would be too good. Like you said, in terms of Supercoach, they're both on the bye in round 13. Brian To'o is always popular. I'm probably going to hold I've only got Cleary as my origin player, so I'll probably hold him through there. I think if you had both him and To'o, you maybe have to sell one. But yeah, what's your plans with Cleary? Are you going to hold him?
Oh, I'm not selling him. He's not moving out of my team.
No. Yeah, sell him to Moses. It's a really smart idea.
I was actually thinking about going to Luke Brooks, but anyway.
Yeah, he's dropped out of that. He's confused his shit himself.
I guess you lost him under what?
Yeah, shocking.
Brad, Tim's got no comment on this trade because he's already done it.
Have I told you how much I love Supercoach?
And you know
About the only plus is, like I said, is if it came off, then I was looking sensational because that's 300K I could have used somewhere else. But anyway,
not only did it hurt that you were at the game watching that shit and then he pumped out a 17, but then he got a HIA to make things even worse. It was just like, I'm going to get you, Tim, you idiot. What were you thinking, mate?
And the worst part was it was right in front of me. Where I was sitting, he was knocked out cold, like he was. I could have just about jumped the fence and knocked him out myself. He was right there.
Sorry, boys.
Asshole.
I did have one player I wanted to bring up. One of my options is to bring him in this week, and that was the Peach. What's your thoughts on him, Brad?
I'm not going there only because of the 13, really. Otherwise, I'd be jumping all over him. But he's one of those. You know how you got certain players in my team, and you'd have to be the same, that you're definitely going to hold, right? So then you've got these peripheral players, whether it be on the edges, whether it be Warbricks or Tuavas, just that you know that are going to be trades. Well, unfortunately, yeah, Peachy would be in that. You know, he'd be, if I'd bought him a few weeks ago, I'd be selling him around 12, 13. Yeah. After I made a bit of cash. So
my numbers are looking okay for 13. And I know they play the Dragons around 14, but we'll get to it, but I was actually looking at selling Hoskins or Taruva, so it's another Panthers player anyway.
Yeah.
But
all right, well, we'll move on to the next game. It's the Bunnies versus the 2-in-a-row Tigers. I might as well just quickly cover off this one. I think the Tigers are going to probably struggle, but we do have an okay record against South. So it might be a bit closer than what people think. But I really like Campbell Graham as a pod VC option for this round. You know, that Tigers defense on that side isn't the best. Obviously, the Trolls another captaincy option or VC option for this game. A lot of people are trading in Buller. Brad, what do you think on this one?
Oh, look, I hope Latrell breaks his leg and falls over and doesn't score a point.
Everyone was giving it to him the other night there when he pushed Brandon over. I'm there, I'm going, sin bin him.
Oh, well, he did. He did crack him on the head with his elbow.
Oh, he did.
If Victor, we made the comment, if Victor Radley did that, he'd get 10 weeks, you know?
Oh, yeah. He would have
been
sent off 2 weeks ago for
it. But in all honesty, I actually don't hope he breaks his leg. That's pretty horrible to happen to anyone. But, yeah, I'm a non-owner of Latrell. So,
I wouldn't have guessed that in a million years by saying
that. and I'll remain a non-owner of Latrell at this stage. So, yeah, you maybe ask one of the others.
Okay, what's your thoughts on trading in AJ? I know that he's quite popular this week, Guy. I know you're on him. Mr. Auction Diamonds, either 10 or 100. What's your thoughts on getting him this week? He's obviously pretty cheap.
He is, but he's just not my kind of player. So I won't be playing him or trading him. I like a bit of base, I do. It's
all
actually one
about that
reason.
piece. Maybe we need to start doing singing. All
Nicki
about that
Minaj.
piece. About that piece.
It's probably one reason why I still got Tuava, because it's not the
Taruva?
fact that he hasn't got a try.
Tarava and Taruva.
Taruva, he hasn't got a try yet, but Dad said he's got a good base. He's not all that bad.
Just
But AJ's the other way around. He's just shocking. You're either going to get 8 points or you're going to get 80.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I want to touch on just with South, because they do play that round 13. I'm all over AJ as well this week, just because of his price and their draw. The other one I wouldn't mind, but he's a bit too expensive to go Katoa as your second 5'8", if you've already got D-bags, was Cody Walker.
Yeah, definitely. I like it.
His last year, his 2 scores against the Tigers were 77 and 103. He's played 13 games for an average of 80 against the Tigers. So, yeah, I don't mind him. But, yeah, it's very hard to have him and D-bags. But that would be the...
I know that Katoa plays round 13, but if you've got the cash to do Katoa to Walker, for me, it's a no-brainer, really. If you've got the cash here to do it, I'd be doing it.
Yeah, and if your numbers weren't too good for 13 either. Oh, but either way, they 13, yeah.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to the next game. It's the Cowboys versus the Dragons. Both these teams play round 13. I'm seeing Max Guy very popular trading this week because he plays his 3rd game. Bit risky with Lomax potentially to come back into that team. Might as well go to the Queensland boy up there, Timmy. How do you see this one panning out? What do you think of any trading or trade outs for this game?
Yeah, look, it's hard to go past not tipping the Cowboys in this one after last week's game. The fact that they did a number on the Roosters, but look, I think this game's going to be pretty even. The Cowboys have been really average of late, bar last week. So, but I mean, like we said before, it could have been the weather, could have been anything. Like, you just got no idea. Look, for all the people that have held Val all the way through, I sold him about a month ago to Garrick, and I think Val's probably outscored him. So if you've still got Val, I'd absolutely be holding him, especially right through to the bye. Start looking at Drinkwater as a bit of a pod play. That wouldn't. I don't think that's going to go too badly for you over the next 3 or 4 rounds. And then, look, there's not too many forwards there. I'd keep an eye on Helam Lukey if he actually comes back and starts playing 80 minutes. Outside of that, the Dragons players, I've got Jack Bird, and I'm pretty happy to have held him, especially because I've still got Connolly Lemueli as well. So I've basically got one in second row and one in centre wing, and being able to flick them around on a week like this when troops are a bit short, it's been really handy, actually. So, look, I don't know too many others that'll be overly relevant. We talked about it off air before. Tyrell Sloan's been one of the most traded in players for the last 2 weeks. Now he's about the number 1 traded out player, which I'm sure we'll talk about shortly. But yeah, look, there's not a lot to be liked by either teams as far as Supercoach go. Obviously, there's some cheaper players in there, but I think it might be a case of you'll get what you pay for. So, I think if I had the cash to bring Robson in this week to instead of Sonny Luke, I'd probably be all over that. But it's a bit hard now to sell. You don't get the cash to sell Warbrick or Taruva and upgrade Luke to Robson. But I think if you could make it somewhere else, that's probably a pretty good trade and match him with like I've got Jeremy Marshall-King, so I'm a little bit short this week. But yeah, I think having JMK and Robson for the next 3 or 4 rounds is probably a really good play.
Well, one that I was having a look at was Murray Talangi, and I ended him a couple of years ago, and he was quite good, but he'll be under 400K in a couple of weeks. But I've just had a look at their draw, and it's not great. I mean, we know they've been kissed on the draw to start, but round 13, Eels, Melbourne, Penrith, Southern Tigers, Manly, Para. Thinking of it as a pod, but with that draw, it's not great.
I agree, but to be realistic, Coates and Selwyn Cobbo will be Queensland wingers. I think Murray Tuolangi is probably the next one in line. unless they rejig things and put Reece Walsh in there somewhere, maybe at which point Val Holmes goes to the wing,
Does
does the old Darius Boyd type thing. So,
what about Hammer, Timmy?
yeah, well, I mean, he's there, but yeah, I don't know. I think they prefer Tuolangi on the wing, but that's just, I don't know. Hammer's played really well and obviously does offer a bit more versatility with being able to play fullback also. But I think I don't know. It would be a toss-up between the two of them.
Brad, you got anything on this game you wanted to mention at all?
I'll mention. Look, I've got a big interest in this game. I know you say they've got a bad draw, but they have the Dragons and then the Tigers. Sorry, Roscoe.
That's all right.
Oh, hey, they're on a winning streak, Brad.
Hey, 2 in a row, mate. 2 in a row.
2 in a row.
And then I think they've got Parramatta, who's going to be fairly depleted in certain areas. In round 13, I don't mind that draw. Now, I did put up, and you've all read the article, I think. And anybody who hasn't, go onto the Facebook page, have a look at the article I put up there. I've sort of signalled this week that Drinkwater is very much a pod play or buy. And yeah, I'm extremely interested in getting him in. Now, I know the draw is bad, but what you can do is, say if you brought a Drinkwater in now, right, you're only going to have around about 80 to 100,000 swing either way in his price before you have to sell him in round 14, and then you go to Dylan Edwards. You know, it's 3 weeks you hold him, right? Bang, swap him out, go to Edwards, and then you're set with a fullback for the next quite a few weeks, you know, over that bye period. It's not a bad strategy, 3 weeks. And I think Drinkwater will, you know, score rather well. At Magic Round, when you were sitting there, you see certain things. God, I was impressed by Drinkwater. Any player I was impressed with, it was him. He was so active, and he just had one of those games where he didn't score huge amounts. He got over 50, I think, but he was just into everything, and he was just following the play around. He just didn't manage to get onto those really clutch plays. However, he is, in the past, a high ceiling player. So, yeah, I'm very interested in Drinkwater for the next 3 or 4 weeks.
So that how you mentioned about Dylan Edwards, the one I do like for around about that round 14, round 15 is Will Kennedy. Now,
yep,
their draw opens up massively after round 14. I mean, I've got Gutho and Latrell, so I probably won't make the move, but I think Will Kennedy will be an uber pod come round 14.
You just got to get him at the right time at the right price.
Yeah, there'll be a few Sharks players that'll might be nice and cheap by then. Especially Katoa, bro. Right?
Yeah, don't start me on it.
my
like sitting next to him at Magic Round and going, bloody maybe I pass him the ball.
I'll add on to that from Brad. I think Val, I've held him for these next 2 games, in particularly. I don't really like the Drinkwater trade only because it's at the fullback spot, and most likely you'd have to trade a Teddy or a Turbo or a Latrell or a Walsh, and I don't think going one of them to Drinkwater would be the play. Like even Teddy and Turbo, you'd actually have to use money to go up to Drinky. He is dropping in cash. He's still above 600k. So yeah, I don't mind Robson as a hooking option, especially if you got JMK this week, like Roscoe, and I know a few boys do. JDB, I know he's very popular at front row. I think he's probably a little bit, he's punching 600k now. I think that you're probably better off going a bit safer with a Taps or.
Do you think keeping on playing those minutes in front row, guy? I mean, 74 minutes or whatever it was in the front row is a lot.
He's always been a workhorse and played big minutes. I think he'll play between 65 to 80 most games. It's more the fact that he's not going to have that big ceiling. Like Horsburgh at the moment or even AFB, if they get an attacking stack, they're going 90, 100.
Well, isn't that what the Bellum got? And he got a try assist or something, didn't he?
I don't know if that was an actual try assist. Did you see
Well,
it?
there was a lot of controversy between his and who were they comparing it to? I'll
Oh,
compare it.
yeah,
Who
one of
was
the
the other
others.
one?
But
Oh, yeah,
Jaden, all he did was pass it to Jaden Sullivan. Jaden Sullivan threw the biggest dummy, and he did it all on his own, really.
Yeah.
But apart from those, I don't really like the Fagai trade either. Sloan, I wouldn't know. If your numbers are okay, then I'd be happy with selling him. Otherwise, I think you might as well just hold him. The only pod that I know a few people like Ravs from the Dragons as a pod because they do play 13. I'd be more inclined to go on, just if he was a bit cheaper, was Moses Sully. He's an absolute beast, and he can, if he can get an attack or two, he's had runs in the past, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I could do it.
It was really interesting. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, it's really interesting watching the game live. It was really apparent that the ball just never went to Sully and Ravalaра's side of the field. Those two were just sitting out there catching flies, weren't they, Roscoe? We kept talking about it. We're going, what are these two doing out there? They've got the two biggest attacking weapons out there, and they're just sitting there picking daisies and catching flies with their hands. And they're doing nothing.
Normally they play because you've got Lomax there. It's who knows.
They must have been ready for that 10-on-2 overlap at the end because they certainly bombed that try. That was for sure.
Yep.
But anyway, all right. Next game is the Raiders versus Parramatta down in Canberra. Raiders are on a bit of a run at the moment. Parramatta, I'm expecting them to bounce back after that loss against the Titans, but geez, they got choked after in halfback this week. I'll go to you on this one, Guy. How do you see this one panning out? Obviously, both these teams play 13 as well.
Yeah. A few ones. The only ones I'm looking at for Canberra was in their forward pack. I wasn't a fan of Wyden at 5'8" with the 5'8s that are available there. Tomoko, I know he's scoring well. He's just very expensive. I just don't know if I could do it in that Canberra team. The ones that I'm looking at were either Taps or Horsburgh. I went Taps last week. Pretty happy with it. I don't really want to make too many more trades up there. As for the Para, they're very popular. It all depends how many of them you've already got in your team. I've got a few already. So the only one that I'm maybe looking at, which I threw to you boys, was in round 13, going DFE down to IPAP to bank me 300k to go Dory up to Lane, because I've got Dory sitting there from the Eels, but I don't think he'll even get a game during that time. So it's a bit.
I'm pretty keen on Lane. I'm just keeping an eye nicely on him just to see what's happening with him. Obviously, he hasn't been scoring great lately, but he's working his way back, starting to drop a bit of cash. Brad, I think did you mention something about Lane at some stage as well?
No.
But not keen on him?
Well, I just haven't really looked at him. My front row is pretty set, so it's not one where I've been looking in the second row. Sorry, the second row is pretty solid. I haven't really been looking. I'm happy where I'm at there.
He's not someone that I'm bringing into my team, but I'd be really keen on Sean Lane. I think the amount of time that they go left, and he's just a point scoring machine for them, as in a try scoring machine. I think, especially now that Maddo's not on the field all the time, I think they will, as Lane gets more match fitness, I think they will go to his side a lot more often. Interesting how they brought in Davey and he started last week. I think that probably spells the end for Dory, even though they're looking at Paulo probably plays Origin. Maddo may play Origin. I don't know. I think if Paulo plays Origin, then I think Maddo and Greg will probably be the starting front rowers for Para in round 13. So maybe Dory gets some time there, but I'd see him more off the bench than anything else. But yeah, look, I understand what you're saying there, Guy, with regards to probably time to cut your losses with him.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's all team relevant. Like D-bags, you could probably have, I reckon, 7. Like your top 3, I'd probably cut it down to maybe D-bags, Moses, and Maddo. I mean, but then you've got Gutho, Hopgood, Lane. You could even Sevo. There's a case for a lot of them, so it just depends who you want.
And that was
What
my
do you
logic
got?
with Gutho, when I went Welsh to him last week, like he's scoring tries every game. Admittedly, he scored 3 tries the other day and as in a week ago, and only scored a 90 or whatever the hell it was. So some of the other fullbacks, if they score 3 tries, there's 150 points. I mean, shit, Cleary's 120 on the weekend. He only touched the ball 4 times or whatever the hell it was. If Gutho, if Cleary scored 3 tries, it'd be out about 1,000 Super Coach points the way that they're scoring him at the moment. So, yeah. Anyways, move on.
No one knew he was goal kicking either. That was another nice little surprise.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Gutho with goal kicking now. I think that's going to help.
What,
No, I think it was Theory.
No, but after Moses went off, then Gutho's goal kicking.
Yeah. What's your guys' thoughts on Sivo? He did go up a bit this week, bit rocks and diamonds. Not a bad goal. What do you reckon, Brad? Sivo?
I think his price is on the increase, isn't it? I think he's about 3 weeks ago. He was looking like he's bottomed out, but I'd have to.
Yeah, he was down to 529 at one stage, and now he's up to 618.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's sort of on the. He's now. He's going the other direction. So yeah, it's not one at that price. You know, this week he'll have another bit of a price increase probably. Yeah, once you start climbing upwards in your price, he'll be rising sharply for the next 3 weeks with 124 sitting there in his rolling average. So, yeah, not one in value wise for me at the moment.
I've got to say,
sorry, Ross, if you didn't pick up Horse last week, Corey Horsburgh, I'd probably think about it this week. He's still got a BE of 22. He's priced at under 600K, so dual position, front row, second row. So if you can make it work, I'd still certainly be keen to jump on him. I did last week.
I know that Tim Moody jumped on Sivo about a week or 2 ago, and certainly was. Wow, that play paid off for him.
Absolutely.
I think he pumped out nearly 1,400 this week, so he's working his way up nicely. So, all right, next game. Yep.
One thing I'll just touch on the front rows with a lot of people are buying the Canberra and the Warriors ones in Tapane, Horsburgh, Tohu and AFB. The only thing is both those teams have the buy in 16, so you might leave yourself a little bit short. In that round, that's all.
Well, you potentially would if you had AFB, Horsburgh, and Tarpany.
Yeah.
Get all 3 of them, you might be in trouble, especially if you don't have depth there. You don't have the duels to swap between the second row and the front row. You might be in a bit of trouble there.
Yeah.
All right, Brad, we'll go to this one then. Knights versus the Titans. Knights have got round 13. Titans don't have round 13, do they?
No.
How do you see this one panning out, Brad?
Don't the well, I thought they did have the round 13.
No, not
Titans.
No, not the Titans. They're on the bye.
They're on the bye.
Yeah.
Look, it's an interesting game. I was lucky enough to play Khan Pereira quite weirdly, so I was wrapped that he crossed through.
Accident. Don't you hate it when you do it by accident?
And we were assured about it at the game. He'd scored.
So yeah, that was a lucky one that actually somehow played out for me. You love Fafita. I mean, how good is he going? He's just he's going to be. I've got about 4 players I think in my team which won't be leaving my team all year, and that is one of them. So it doesn't matter if his price goes up or down. I don't give a shit. He's staying there.
That's Fafita or Camperera?
No, Fafita. No, Camperera. I'm selling him. Don't worry about that. I'll take the money and run in a couple of weeks. Who are the Titans playing again? They're playing the
Newcastle.
Newcastle are coming off a bye, which is As we know, so far this year, just about every team coming off a bye is going gangbusters. So
Except for the Tigers.
yeah, except for the Tigers. Sorry, Tigers.
Every team that won against the bye.
You know,
Except for us.
there's a few players there in the Tigers that I really the Knights that I really do love.
Mm.
I think Frizzell is a mighty pickup. He's just a beast, really. When he's on, he's on. And he'll get you good points over that period of time, you know. His BE is not too bad at the moment. Oh, it's 87.
That's 87.
Yeah, it's pretty shit, actually. Sorry, can we delete that and I can rewind?
630K. Can we just wait until we drop some cash for us?
We'll edit that bit out, Brad. Just start your statements again.
Can we just edit that out? You know,
yeah, sure. Yeah, no worries.
You said Fitzy, didn't you? Fitzy?
Fitzgibbon, right?
Who has Marzu here?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, Guy, yeah. I've got him too, so he'll be a play for me this week.
He's a keeper till the end.
What's that?
I don't know about a keeper till the end. I don't know about that.
Yeah, he's staying there.
That's debatable.
For me on this game, the only tight I have was Defe, and as I told you, my plans with him. But with Newcastle, they do play 13, but they have the bye in 14 with the Eels and Manly. So if you've already got Gary, D-Bags, Hopgood and stuff like me, I've already got Marzu as well. I'm pretty well set up for 13. The only player that I'm looking at was Lockie Miller, because I was thinking Val in 2 weeks after his next 2 games to Miller's probably the trade. But yeah, he's the only one. I think he's got the highest upside in that team, even with Ponga back. I mean, we'll get a look at him this week and next, but yeah, I like Lockie Miller.
You're gonna need to have the cash to go to Lockie Miller. Like your guy, you've got Holmes, that's okay, but he's 675K with a break even of 79, so he's not going to drop too much cash in the next couple of weeks. So you're going to be forking out over 600K for him. I'm keen as mustard on him, but I just don't have somewhere there that I can go to him. That's the problem. I mean,
well, if you have even if you have a Turbo or a Teddy,
I'm not selling Trell. Trell's staying in my team all year. He's not coming out. Gutho's staying there as well. He's not going anywhere. No way, not at the moment.
Yeah, so yeah, team dependent.
If you had Teddy or Turbo, I'd be looking at going to Lachlan Miller for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Trell will fall over. He'll trip over Cody Walker's bottom lip when they're losing one game, right, and break someone's jaw and get suspended for 10 weeks again. But rest assured, it'll happen.
I think Cody will be the one.
I've been saying that for the last month since I sold him.
Cody will be the one that gets suspended, I reckon.
Yeah.
Well, tripping over his own bottom lip.
Tripping over the dribble, his motor mouth. Seriously.
One last one I'll bring up just for Roscoe and those people with JMK this week on the bye. As a cheaper hooker, what's your thoughts on Phoenix Crossland?
Well, God, I don't know how long Kurt Mann's out for, and they've got Adam Elliott named on the bench. I presume Adam Elliott will play some hooker. I don't think that Crossland's going to play 80 minutes. Adam Elliott's played hooker before. He played it there at the Raiders. I just don't think Crossland's playing 80 minutes.
Okay.
What's he worth, Guy?
Oh, about 330, 340, similar to Peachy.
Awkward price.
Hmm.
He does cover 13 though, so it's not the worst trade from hand to him.
But you'd also play him this week, getting good minutes as opposed to hand.
Yeah.
I can see Tim thinking now he's about to hit the trade button.
He's done it already. He's done it already. He's got his phone underneath the table going like this, going, And can I have a bit of all of there? Can I reverse that clearing of Moses trade?
I think with the fat thumb this week, boys, I'm trying really hard not to trade because Lord knows what it's going to press.
All right, let's get to the last game.
Let's get the last game. Right, we'll go to you on this one, Guy. Manly versus the Sharks. Both these teams play round 13.
No, Sharks.
No, sorry, my bad. Sorry, I should do my research.
You're having a shocker with the.
I really should research this stuff, shouldn't I?
Big weekend, mate.
Manly Turbo, and I'm still trying to work out. We got 82 points on the weekend, but that's another story. What do you guys think? I know Sharks don't play round 13, but do we think that there's anyone in the Sharks worth trading in this week?
Yeah, I think it's all team dependent. With Manly first, like I said before, they play 13, but they have the buy in 14 with and Knight. So it just depends how many you've got from those three teams.
Yeah,
a great buy. He's come down in price. If you don't own him, because he'll play that buy. I did love Ola Kawatu, but I do think he's going to play Origin, so I wouldn't go on him early. But yeah, for the Sharks, if you set up well for 13 with numbers, Sharks play 16 and 19 with the Dogs and Tigers. So yeah, there are quite a lot of options from the Sharks. I think their whole back line, you said Kennedy, but you could throw in Katoa, Ramian, Mulatalo, and Talakai. So you've got their whole back line, 1 to 5, who you could probably have. Yeah, it just all depends on price come that round 14, which I'm looking towards. But yeah, even Teague Wilton's been scoring well. I mean,
I was just going to say that either of the second rowers, I don't think you can go wrong with either Teague Wilton or Britton Nakora. I think if you could find the money to stump up for those guys, I mean, I think probably round 13, 14, like Hosking might be the guy that ends up turning into one of those two, either Nakora or Teague Wilton. So yeah, look, it's there's not too many players you can go wrong with, I think, from the Sharks, the way that they've been playing this year, bar last weekend.
Well, given that they're playing 16 and 19, I mean, obviously you'd have to trade out Cleary or Hines. Would you potentially look at a quick cash grab with someone like Trindle? He's going to have the goal kicking for those 2 games. What do you guys reckon? No, yay or no?
It all depends. If Hines makes Origin, I'd not for the first one, but 16, he'd obviously miss 16, 17, 19. So 3 games in those 4 rounds. So
you said they've got to buy there too, don't they?
Yeah, they got the buy in 17.
Yeah. Don't know if it's worth it for 2 games.
Yeah, I think it'll depend on whether Hines starts or whether Hines gets the 14. I think if Hines gets the 14, then he will absolutely back up.
Even if he does, I still don't like it because if you go to a Trindle at half, it's still, even if in a couple of weeks he makes a bit of cash, it's still a long way to get back to him.
You have to keep the money. You have to keep it. You have to.
Yep, absolutely.
You can't spend it.
And I think that's what where people are gonna fall short over Origin. I think if you're trading out any of these big guns like Fafita, Cleary, Hines, any of these blokes that are 700 to 900K, the trick is you've got to be disciplined enough to keep the cash in the bank or have an absolute definite plan that I'm going to trade someone who's 500 down to a particular player that you know will be about 300 at that time. So you've got the extra couple of 100K to go back up again. Yeah. Like I think you've got to have a fairly foolproof plan if you're going to sell those guys because you're absolutely going to need them for the run home. And at any given time, any of those blokes can bang out 120 without touching the ball, and then you're screwed.
I mean, obviously, you know, we've got a squad of 25, and you only have to have 13, right, for the buy rounds.
Yeah.
So you probably don't need to sell the guns to fuel the 13, but you may not have a decent 13 because you probably have to sell a couple of guns out there to make it a decent 13. Like, I don't think there's going to be anybody who's going to have a full gun 13 players for round 13. I mean, you're going to have blokes that are going to have Schusters and your Katoas and blokes like that are just there to make up numbers for round 13.
I don't know. I've tried pretty hard to work towards the best possible 13 that I can have for round 13. The concept of, I mean, I currently have 15 players or something for round 13. My logic is I'm trimming the fat to look for then round 14 players coming through. So that was my whole plan with making the trades the way that I did last week so that I can have the best possible 13 that I can have and then trim guys like Sean Kepi and Schuster and the guys that are going to make me 20 or 30 points in round 13, get rid of them now with the look for guys going 14 onwards.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat. I've got about 15, but that includes Dory and Schuster, and Katoa as well, who I would want to offload. So it's all team dependent. But going back to that Sharks, I think Katoa's 496K, with a BE, about 50, 58, and Ramian's the other one. He's a 504, just above 500K, and he's got a BE of 74. So if either of those, come down mid 400s or cheaper, they'll be a great option come round 4.
Well,
I don't know if you saw my article this week. Did you see my article this week, guys?
I did, yeah. I did.
Yeah.
Talakai, 31 tackle bus.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And he has 11 try assists. Out of those 31 tackle busts, 30, so that means a third. Every 3 tackle busts he makes, there's a try coming. Now, let's go to the other side of the field, right? Ramian, what do you have? 21 tackle busts. That's pretty damn good. 21. Do you want to know how many try assists have occurred off those tackle busts?
Probably 2.
1.
You don't pass.
One.
You don't pass.
That's it. Like, you go, man, not only are you not crossing for a try, but you're not even giving the ball to anybody else who could fucking score a try. Like, fair income, man. Like, it's just...
But it's all price. It all comes into mind because, like, obviously I'd prefer Ronaldo or Talakai, but if they're 750 and a Katoa or Ramian's 450, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if they're not scoring
pick up 2 for the price.
Yeah,
pick up 2 for the price of 1.
If they're not scoring the points, then there's no point in shelling out 150K less for a bloke who's averaging way less. Like, so Talakai 643 with a break even of 0. Like, if you've got the numbers for 13, and you got the cash, I'd be all over him this week with that break even.
Yeah, but it's who you're selling. That's what I mean. With buying a 400K player, you could sell like a Dory or a Katoa like we're talking about to them. But when you're going up to a 700K player, Ronaldo and Talakai, you have to sell, one of your guns or need cash.
All right, anyway, that's all the games covered for this week. Guys, want to talk trades? Do we know what trades we're doing at all? I know, Guy, you know what you're doing.
I'll start us off. So I know I'm bringing in AJ, and I'm bringing him in for Warbrick. Time to go for the brick. And there's the other trade. I need 170K to make that first trade, and I can do it in 3 different ways that I'm happy with, and I'm still tossing it up. The first way was Taruva down to Tafare. I know Tafare's a bit early. He's not going to make cash. I know I'm pretty confident he'll play 3 games and end up making cash. But like I said, I'm okay for 13 with numbers. And I just think you could wait a couple of weeks and still get him the same price. The second option was Katoa to Olawapu. I would have been much more keen on that and probably doing that if Olawapu was starting. But yeah, Katoa will play 13, but Olawapu plays 16, 19. And so if you're already set up for 13, I don't mind it as an option because I think he will be starting before round 14. And the third way I could do it, which I'm currently have done at the moment, was Hosking to Peachy at second row. It frees me up the most cash, and Peachy will get the dual next week to be dual second row centre. And yeah, they were the 3 ways I looked at. I could have done Asta Tohu, however, I want to wait right on 13 for Tohu. And same with Deefy and Vow. I've got plans for them, but I'll definitely wait for 13.
Brad or Tim, who wants to go next?
Timmy?
At this stage, I'm probably holding trades. As shit as my team is this week, I think this week, when you look at the players that are out, I think a lot of people are going to be fielding some pretty average sides this week. So it might cost me 100, 150 points, but I think if I can save 2 trades in the long run, it's probably a good thing. I've got 27 trades or 28 trades left, but I think saving 2 more is probably not a bad thing.
Well, you're pretty set for round 13 too, which also helps.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right,
like,
so
I'm not really planning on needing to trade in round 13, even though I've got 3 trades. If I do, it'll be trimming the shit, like I said, getting rid of Kepi and Schuster and maybe a couple of other average players and bring in some cheap guys and then make an upgrade somewhere or something like that. But I'll be basically building for round 14 from now on.
Brad?
Drinky. Drinky's coming in.
For who?
Who are you trading?
Warbrick.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got enough cash in the bank to sustain that trade. So
Who are your fullbacks now?
Gutho. It'll be Gutho and Drinky. I'm very happy to go into the buy rounds with 2 guns.
Yeah, but how are you selling Warbrick? Is Warbrick?
Because I've got Garrick down there at the moment. Sorry. So okay. Garrick, yeah. I'll sell Warbrick. Garrick will pop back up, and I'll throw back in Drinky next to Gutho.
It's a good trade. I like that.
Yep. Well, I don't know what I'm doing yet. I've got to sit down and have a look at it. Decide whether I'm going to run hands or if I'm going to upgrade him to someone else. So at this stage, I don't know. I guess we'll go to VC and C choices now. I'm thinking pod play this week, going by VC Cleary and captaining either Trell or Campbell Graham against the Tigers. Who wants to go next?
I'm going to go really balls to the wall. I'm going VC on Drinky. I know I've mentioned him a few times, but I'll do it. I'll do VC him, and I'll go, I'm thinking Captain Hines. Yeah, I think Hines versus Manly.
One thing I will mention about the Manly Sharks game is I believe that there's a bit of rain forecast for Sunday as well, so here out for Hines, mate, because he loves it a bit wet, Hinesy.
Oh, geez, that might
look out.
Yeah, that might change it. I'll have to have a look at the weather now. Now you're getting me doubting myself. I hate that.
Oh, gee, sorry to doubt you there.
That's my initial thoughts anyway.
I'm still very undecided as well. My VC, I was looking at targeting the Souths or the Cowboys. I've got either Val, Cookie, or AJ as a VC, but it could also be Cleary. And then, the C probably at this stage will be between Turbo or Hines in that last game at rookie.
Because I don't mind Cook against the Tigers either. That could be a sneaky VC pod. Timber?
This at the moment I've got VC on Dillbags going into Hines.
All right. Just before we finish up, just a shout out to Grant Humphreys, coach of Mongols, who is currently sitting 37th overall. So congrats, good stuff, Grant. Keep it up. Did speak to him the other day and pretty keen to get him on a pod sometime or just have a one-on-one with him and have a bit of a chat around how his season's going and what he's doing differently to most others. So stay tuned for that one. Boys, you got anything else that you want to talk about before we finish up?
Just bringing up my head-to-head league, so keep going on.
Not too much to add from me.
Yeah, no, not too much to add to me. Big thank you to everyone at Magic Round, including yourselves. Unfortunately, Guy, we're going to have to get you there next time.
You have to come next year, Guy. It's non-negotiable.
Yeah, I have to get out of the riff.
But big thanks to everyone. There's a bunch of people there, including Jake and Damo, and there's a bunch of people there that really made the day and the weekend great. So thank you to all of you.
Yeah, and a big shout out to Damo too. He made Sunday after his wife had the baby early, so congratulations to Damien and to Sally on their baby boy William. I'm pretty sure he'll have royal status soon, and hopefully he'll get us into a corporate box or something at the Broncos game sometime soon. He'll become the mayor of Brisbane, no doubt as well. So, so congratulations, guys. Until then, we will see you guys on Sunday night. And good luck for the weekend. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, lad.
Stay safe.